Hello and welcome to Mindful Living, where we explore the art of living with the intention, balance, and inner peace. I am Avik, your host, guiding you through conversations on health, meditation, mental well being, mindfulness, and the mind body connection. Each episode features expert insights to help you grow, heal, and thrive. So, take a deep breath, relax, and join us on this journey to a more mindful and fulfilling life. So, let's get started.
Hello and welcome, listeners, to another interesting episode of the Mindful Living podcast. I'm your host, Rima, and today we are diving deep into a very interesting topic about music and mindfulness. Our guest today is Clementine Moss, and we will be discussing with her on how we can view spiritual practice as a continuous thread woven into every moment of our lives. Clementine Moss is the founder and drummer of the powerhouse rock band Zepperella, as well as a talented singer, songwriter, and spiritual counselor. In her insightful memoir, From Bonham to Buddha and Back, The Slow Enlightenment of the Hard Rock Drummer, Clementine uses her journey through the music industry as a metaphor for spiritual growth. With over 30 years of Vipassana meditation experience and a multifaceted healing practice, she brings a unique perspective on blending the worlds of rock and spirituality. So let's get ready and explore on how being a musician enriches her spiritual practice and what we can learn from this intersection. So, Clementine, welcome to the show, and it's an absolute honor to have you today with us.
Oh, likewise. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So, Clementine, how did your journey as a drummer in a high energy rock band influence your understanding of spiritual practice in everyday life?
Oh, gosh, that's a big question. Well, let's see. My Vipassana meditation practice and drumming happened around the same time in my life, in my 20s. And, for a long time, I thought they were two separate aspects of my personality. And then as time went on, I saw how the lessons I was learning on the meditation mat were mirroring the lessons I was learning behind the drum kit. That the more that I could settle into that place of stillness and wider awareness within myself, that non-reactive place that I was looking for when I was sitting in meditation and my mind was running all over the room. It was helpful both to find that on the meditation mat. And then I started noticing that it was translating into being on stage and playing powerful songs and having a lot of chaos around me. I found that when I was able to find that still center within myself, then everything felt effortless. I've had infinite power to play, and I didn't let the fear and anticipation of failure that was passing through my mind affect what was happening in my body, affect my playing. And so I think that over time I realized that I don't think that they are two separate things. I think that it is in any endeavor in my life, the more that I can settle into that still awareness, the more that the life happening around me becomes more effortless. And I let go of fear and anticipation of failure and the feeling of unworthiness, and I get to just exist in the moment.
Yeah, that is beautiful. That is beautiful, Clementine. So let's talk about your book. You describe in your book moments of oneness experienced while performing, and I can truly relate to that because I am a music lover, from more of a singing point of view. So, share a specific instance when you felt that connection, and how does it relate to mindfulness?
Mm. Yeah, well, I've been fortunate in my meditation practice and just in my life to have had experiences of oneness, and when I say oneness, what it feels like, of course it's wordless, but it feels as if Clementine drops away and I'm able to exist in pure beingness without thought and without the barriers that the personality self erects of judgment and wishing things to be different. I get to settle into the moment, and to me, that feels like that experience of oneness. I think that music is a beautiful expression of that oneness. When you think of music, it really is waveforms, sound waves moving through all of us. And we are a collection of waveforms that hold us somehow. We're being held in form. And all of those waves are kind of moving through us. And when you think about a music venue, and all of the people who are in there, and the same waves are moving through each body. And I feel it's almost like a glue that begins to hold us together in this one moment. I think music allows us to forget ourselves. I know, you as a singer know that singing is almost a perfect alignment between the true self and the self that has practiced and honed the craft of it. In the moment you're singing, both of those things become one. You're not able to think as much. It's the sound is, you become a channel for the sound. And I think that is a letting go of the personality self. And stepping into that moment, that infinite moment of pure just beingness, of being able to get out of our way to let life flow through us. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That's really beautiful. Okay, so you also mentioned about navigating struggles like self-consciousness and competition. How do these challenges impact your spiritual practice? And how do you reconcile them with the pursuit of enlightenment?
Mm. Well, I remember when I went to my first 10-day Vipassana retreat, and the teacher, S.N. Goenka, in the recordings of his lectures, one of the first things he says is that one day you will actually look forward to pain. And at the time I heard that, I was in a lot of pain sitting on the ground for all day meditating, and I thought that he was crazy. I thought that concept of looking forward to suffering seemed ridiculous to me. But what happened was once I started to see pain as a teacher, that I was gaining so many lessons by being able to open myself up to discomfort, to allow myself to step into the judgments, the barriers, the blocks, the suffering that were rising up in my body as I was sitting in silence. The more I did start to kind of look forward to what was rising up, because I was learning so much about myself, learning about how to be non-reactive towards those things, how to understand how I sometimes I was perpetuating some of that suffering by the attachment that I discovered, my attachment to my suffering, which is a strange thing. So much of us spend so much of our life running away from suffering. But when we're actually able to step into it and allow it to just be present, we can sometimes notice our participation in the suffering because it feels familiar or because it gives us a sense of identity or purpose. And that upends everything we know about ourselves when we start to learn those lessons. I think that suffering, I hate to say that it's a great teacher because I don't wish suffering on anybody. And I know that some people are given struggles and suffering from outside of themselves that is so huge and seems so unfair. But I also understand that to see the things presented in our lives as lessons that we can learn from is extremely empowering. And when we're able to flip the switch from being a victim of our circumstances and taking the circumstances as some sort of empowerment, it's transformative. Yeah.
True. That's true. And you have experienced many different traditions of meditation. So, how have these diverse practices shaped your approach to spirituality in your music career?
I think that we can ask for practices in our life that can speak to us at different times. For instance, a few years ago, I encountered a teacher who was teaching a kind of mantra meditation, which I had never practiced really in my life. And suddenly I realized there was a part of me that was asking for something to shake up my meditation practice, that maybe I had gotten in a bit of a rut. And when this teacher appeared in my life, I realized I think I've been asking for this. And what happened when I practiced this new form of meditation was suddenly my internal world became more alive. And it also, I had a funny experience where I was walking down, after doing this meditation for a few months, I was walking down the street and I had this thought, I feel like I am bathed in gratitude. It's almost too exquisite of a feeling to be so grateful for everything that I'm experiencing right now. And then it hit me well, of course, I've been doing a mantra that all of the phrases were about praising and gratitude of the divine. And I just had to laugh at myself. Here I've been doing this thing and I didn't put it together that what I was doing was opening up this part of my heart that maybe had been, for whatever reason, I hadn't gotten there yet. I hadn't approached it. So, sometimes when we're in meditation practice, to shake things up a little bit, I think we can see the other side of practices that it's I already knew that, but this practice kind of rattled up my cage a little bit, and something new appeared. So I am not I know that there's a great value in being extremely devoted to one particular path. I know that that is a great value. But I also think that sometimes people get wrapped up in the way things are supposed to look, rather than moving into their own needs at the moment. And there are so many tools to explore. And I think the ultimate goal for me is always, how can I open my heart? How can I open it? How can I let go of pretense? How can I let go of barriers to recognizing the other as the self? How can I open to real self-compassion, self-love, which only serves to open even more to understanding and the compassion for the suffering in others? I think we often lose sight of the purpose of these spiritual practices. And in my mind, the purpose is that oneness, is realizing that your suffering is my suffering, and that I'm here to learn how to love the moment, love the other, love myself, and radiate love, which I believe at the base of everything is what we're coming back to, because I do believe all existence is that vibration of love, not love the emotion, but love the energy of creative, of creativity, of that infinitely flowering one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Great explanation, Clementine. So while some might argue that the rock and roll lifestyle is, how we have seen the picture painted by media and everyone, the rock and roll lifestyle is inherently chaotic and counter to spiritual discipline. I mean, there are all kinds of misconceptions attached there. So how do you defend the notion that these two worlds can coexist harmoniously?
Well, I don't know that it's, I don't know that it's all untrue. I mean, the rock and roll lifestyle is a very chaotic lifestyle, and for myself, I've dived into all of the cliches of the rock and roll lifestyle. However, I don't know that the rock and roll lifestyle is more chaotic than other people's lives, daily lives. We all get wrapped up in feeling like we're supposed to be something we're not. We get wrapped up in all of the ways that we escape that fundamental feeling that we're not worthy or good enough. I think it's all the same thing. The life that we're living here is chaotic and messy, and we run towards things external to ourselves that we think are going to make us happy, and we run away very strongly into substances and relationships and pursuits, so that we don't have to face that uncomfortable feeling that we're just not good. I realize how much I felt through my life that if anybody really knew how not good I was, that, it was a great shame of knowing that I intrinsically wasn't worthy. And later in spiritual practice, I realized what I was saying was that I was outside of the divine. I was outside, like even God couldn't love me, right? And that's a great anguish. I think it is that feeling of that dark night of the soul that people speak about when we really confront that feeling within us, that there's just something not perfect about us. And all spiritual practice should start with guiding people to show the perfection within each human, so that we can then again open our hearts to the world. And then, all of the chaos in our lives seems to drop away, or we become immune from letting us drag us down those unhelpful pathways that we can get caught up in.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Lovely, Clementine. So before we wrap up, many people view spirituality as a separate aspect of life. How do you encourage others to integrate spiritual practice into their daily routine, especially in high pressure environments, music industry, or maybe anything similar?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think there is a great benefit of any kind of daily practice, even if it's 10 minutes, even if it's really 10 minutes in the morning, just watching the breath. Because what that does is eventually it starts to bleed into our daily lives in ways that we don't even see. Because what we're doing is we're sitting in a non-reactive state and just observing. And the more that we do that, the more the reactive aspect of our life, there starts to be more space in there between the time that something happens and the time that we react. I know for me, the times in my life where I'm the most embarrassed or shameful, feel shameful, are those moments where I just fly off the handle immediately, and I don't see the big picture. I don't allow for there to be a moment for me to really measure my reaction in the world, and that's caused most of the problems in my life as well. So to realize that we participate a lot of the times in the problems in our lives in that way, I think is helpful. And those 10 minutes a day where we're sitting in and finding that place within us that is well and peaceful and still and continuous, starting to allow that place to guide us through our day, guide us through our activity. It starts to happen, whether we even realize it or not. Maybe someone cuts you off in traffic, and whereas last week you would have immediately, had your rage just, rise up in you. Instead, you notice that maybe there's a little moment before that anger comes, and maybe we're not attached to the anger anymore. So that kind of daily practice is good. I think discovering what really speaks to you. Some people, they really, sitting on a meditation cushion is just not here for them right now. And so maybe it's during a morning run. Maybe it's during an evening walk. Maybe those are the times where we can let go of any distraction and really just settle into the movement of the body and keep focusing on the breath and noticing where is that still silent place that feels whole. So it doesn't have to look like we're sitting on a meditation mat, lighting a candle and ringing a bell. I think in our modern world, we really get attached to the way things are supposed to look. But part of our own empowerment is knowing what's good for us and realizing we have a right to do what feels right for us when it comes to finding that place within us. So I think that it is important to keep that as a priority in your day, however you can, is to have those few minutes where you connect to the part of yourself that is good as it is. There's nothing to be changed. There is no goal needed to be better. I've gone down millions of self-help routes, and, some of it has been beneficial in my life and helped me. But honestly, the biggest thing that has helped me is to realize I'm good as I am, and everything else is gravy. And so any practice you can find that empowers you to understand that aspect of yourself, I think is the best thing that you can do for yourself.
That is absolutely true. Lovely. What a great conclusion, Clementine. And if our listeners want to get access of your book, From Bonham to Buddha and back, and also connect with you, how they can do that?
Yeah, thank you. My website is clemthegreat.com, and every aspect of my life is there. My music, my writing, and the spiritual counseling as well is all there.
Great. We'll have all the details mentioned in the show notes. And Clementine, thank you so much for sharing your insights on weaving spirituality into every moment, especially through your experience as a musician and your reflections on how drumming and mindfulness intertwine. They offer valuable lessons for all of us. So thank you so much for coming here on the show.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate you.
And for our listeners, be sure to check out her book, From Bonham to Buddha and Back, for deeper insights into Clementine's journey And you can refer the show notes along with this episode on your favorite podcast platform. Join us next time as we continue to explore mindfulness and personal growth in our everyday lives. This is your host, Sana, signing off.